Welcome to Expressions the Podcast, episode number 25. It's going to be a special show this week. It's just us. So, cheers, everybody. Cheers. There you are.
Can I
Cheers.
show the logo? Should I not show the logo?
Well, we're not.
I don't know. Maybe Land Shark will sponsor us.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe people want to know what our favorite drink is. Who knows?
Well,
it's definitely Land Shark if they sponsor us.
There you
go.
Good thinking. Okay, so here's what's happening. This is episode 25, and we've done a lot of these shows already, as you can see, 25 of them, and we've had a lot of fun. But we thought we would touch base with us, the four of us. There's been a lot of shows where somebody was missing or a couple people were missing. Some people weren't in the show, so you don't feel connected to it as the same way. So we're going to talk about all the shows. We're going to talk about all the things we've done. But first thing we're going to talk about is what's our favorite drink, since we've already talked about it. So Aurora, why don't you start with that one?
Well, I just mentioned a little bit earlier, but just in case it wasn't in, I'm not a beer person. I don't like beer at all. I think it's the hops that bothers me. So my drink of choice is usually either wine, like a white wine. I love wine, or cider. I love cider. That was like a good discovery. The Brickworks ciders are really good. They're made in Toronto. There's a Brickworks cider house. Nice. So they have a lot of different flavors. So that's mine.
You can actually visit there. I think they have a brewery as well. I shot a wedding there once.
Oh, cool! Yeah. Very nice. Yeah, the Brickworks is a really beautiful place to shoot a wedding.
It is gorgeous. Yeah, not so much in March, but it was good. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
It was an outdoor wedding in March.
Ooh, yuck.
Yeah.
And in Canada, no less.
In Canada, yes, absolutely.
Mark, what about you, man?
The Brickworks is a great place, and they do have great beverages. I'm not actually drinking alcohol this evening, but my drink of choice is either I love a good Caesar, and I love to try different types of beers. And my go-tos generally every day, I drink a lot of carbonated water. I like the bubbles and the flavor. So right now I'm rocking a couple of different flavors of bubbly here. I've got one for when my main one runs out, but I'm a coffee guy. Love my coffee.
Nice. Ryan, what about you, man?
I'm a regular beer drinker, but a Caesar, I can appreciate a nice Caesar every once in a while.
Definitely. That's what I'm at. I've got a Walters today, Walters Caesar. My buddy Steve turned me on to these things. He said they're better than those Mott's Clamato Caesars, and I agree. They're awesome.
Yeah, I saw them in the liquor store last week, and
pick them up.
I was going to grab one, but I went with what I knew, and I grabbed the Mott's Clamato.
And for the record, I don't think any of us are like super heavy drinkers. Ryan, you probably have more beer than any of us. But
yeah, I like to have I enjoy my beer.
If I were to have a beer, it would be a Honey Brown, Sleeman Honey Brown. I love it.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But beyond that, we've done a lot of different things on this show. And the whole point of Expressions is to hear people out, give people the center stage and let them shine, I guess you could say. We've had a lot of guests on so far. One of which, in particular, I think we should start talking about is Ken Domick. When we had Ken on, that was an interesting week. Does anybody want to?
Hey, Ken.
Yeah.
Ryan, go ahead, man.
Yeah, go ahead, and then I'll interject because I was the host that wasn't there that week. So
yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of hate directed at Ken. Now, not to say that the guy is bad in any way, but I think when you have somebody with that big of a following, there's going to be hatred, unfortunately, that gets directed at him in some way, shape, or form. And that all got taken out on our page, apparently.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I wasn't present that week. I can't remember why I was traveling or
I think you were in town.
I think we may have had guests. We may have had house guests that week, that time. But I saw the rhetoric, and when I miss a show, I try and go back and watch it. There's a couple that I have missed that I haven't watched yet. But when I saw all of the hate come through, I thought, whoa, wait a minute. So I popped in and I started watching it one morning, and I finished watching it that evening because I had to get ready for work. And I thought it was a great show. At the end of the show, my only thought was, dang, I wish I'd been on that one. It was a good show. I thought it was a really great commentary. The show did exactly what it was supposed to do, and that was to highlight Ken and his creativity. He's obviously a YouTuber, and Ken is completely honest about the fact that he uses YouTube as an income stream, and that's what he does. And even during the show, he was talking about, trying different things to try and get views and likes, and doing things that his fans were asking him to do, the different food challenges and things that he did. Now it's solo camping in parking lots.
Stealth camping.
Stealth camping. Thank you. That's what he called it. So I thought it was a great show. And then I was reading all the commentary, and what got me the most was, as I started going back in, because I know we were all doing it. It was our show with the most views and the show with the most comments on it right now. I don't know. It was over 2,000 views and I think 565 comments the last time I saw it. And I thought, wow. And I haven't looked in a while. But what got me the most was the number of people that came back in to re-comment. And a lot of their comments were negative about Ken. And I do wish I had been there. I would have liked to have talked to him. But what really gets me the most about the whole thing is the hate that these people apparently have for him. And some of it may be founded, it may not be. That's not my beef. Honestly, don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care why they hate Ken. But what gets me, and I laugh about it, is Ken lives completely rent-free in their heads every day, because they're spending all this time and all this effort going back in and re-commenting on our episode, and I'm sure they're going in on his. Some of them even had made up profiles that were Ken's name spelled with an extra letter in it, and they were commenting. And I thought, oh my goodness, to put all of this effort into one YouTuber, like, it's a different form of flattery. It has to be. So there's something to it, and obviously Ken's doing something right, because he's got a lot of viewers and he is making a living at it. So kudos to Ken, and maybe one day in the future we'll have him back on and see what happens.
And if there's anybody out there that wants to waste their energy on the four of us, feel free. Feel free.
Mark's a jerk.
I was actually very surprised, because I met Ken on multiple occasions at the Henry store, and seeing like the amount of views that he gets and the amount of subscribers he gets and that kind of thing, I thought there would be tons of people like loving Ken on the video. So that's what I was kind of expecting, and I wasn't expecting the huge uptick in views that we got on that specific video. We actually gained some subscribers from that. I think it was like 10 or something like that. But
well,
still,
welcome to the channel.
Yeah, welcome to the channel. And I feel like it was kind of like the opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I wasn't expecting there to be so much hate, but I guess it's a part of creating on the internet. I don't have a whole lot of research into what they're all saying and talking about. I know that in general on the internet, there's a lot of haters. Some of them hate for a reason. Some of them are just trolling to, say whatever they want to say and take their anger out on somebody else, type of thing. And it was all pretty surprising for me. It was the first time in any avenue of any social media platform experiencing anything like that. But I'm glad that we gained some people who are at least interested in what we're doing. I think again, Ken was a good guest for sure, because he was like the first ever YouTuber who's ever been on our platform. And that was the reason why we asked him to be on, because we wanted to get to know a little bit more about YouTube as a whole. And I think he really covered that in the video. But I guess a lot of the Ken haters who came to watch the video, seeing that Ken had been in that, didn't understand maybe what our podcast as much was about. So it was meant to be talking to Ken specifically, and less to us. We're an interview style podcast, but we have all sorts of different kind of guests. So maybe you'll find interest in that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we are, because the whole point of this is mental health, right? And we're trying to feel better ourselves through all this craziness in life, and we invite guests on. We're not going to make it a hostile environment for them. What's the point of that, right?
Yeah.
Who was the comedian that said we were too nice?
Brian.
Brian, from
Brian
the States.
Brian Bowden.
Oh man,
Brian
that was a
Bowden,
good video.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening to this right now should go back and listen to that video.
Yeah.
I have not laughed that much in a long time.
That's right. Yeah. Brian says we're nice. I got a list of people that'll tell you I'm not, so that's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
they're not on the internet though, apparently, because I don't.
Yeah, because they're not hating on you. And when you said space in their heads, Ken is renting space in their heads. It's so true. It's absolutely true.
Rent free.
I got to admit, I kind of looked at who the real kind of obvious people were that were following us and commenting, and I even blocked one from actually seeing the page because he kept on posting on every other video we did since. And I'm like, okay, first of all, it's one thing to hate on Ken, and we're not going to delete those comments because we're expressions. Like we're here to let people express themselves, right? But when they start commenting on the Cassie video and then the Sean video on whatever, it's like, okay, first of all, these people are excited to be on the show. I know Cassie and I know her family were all very excited to see her episode. And to go on there and have to have these people with rhetoric on her page, that's just rude and just not cool. So yeah, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to say something.
I didn't see the comments. Were they comments about Ken on other videos?
Well, on Cassie, there was the one where they were saying, well, finally a real guest, which is good for Cassie because, Cassie's awesome. But Ken is a real guest. And it was actually a really great conversation. Like you said, Mark, it was all fine conversation. And it did exactly what we had hoped it would do. So for all of you people who are slamming the show or slamming Ken during the show, you, like Aurora said, you didn't get the point of what we do. So watch other shows before you comment. As far as deleting negatives goes, I know that, well, if you ever go to Ken's videos, you never see negative comments. You don't see them at all. So he has to be deleting them. And there were quite a few people that were commenting on ours saying that we're deleting stuff. And we're like, no, we're not deleting stuff. It either is being held for review, which I learned is a thing we can actually hold for review, or it's just, I don't know. You have to redo the list of how you see things. You know what I mean? Update how you view stuff.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, if
it's not showing
the
the newest
comment happens and then a bunch of other comments happen after it, it ends up being like way high up in the list of comments, or it's like people reply to people's comments. So it's not a separate comment. People make a comment on people's comments, and that's where the confusion of different comments happens. But I also think YouTube actually takes comments out with like profanity.
They just delete them automatically. So maybe that was part of it too.
I think that's one of the things. So if there's a lot of profanity used, I'm pretty sure that gets like weeded out. So
2.8 thousand views, like Mark said, over 500 comments. I thank every single person that took the time to watch it.
Yeah.
Comment bad, like it, don't like it, whatever it is. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It all doesn't matter. We aren't the people that are using this to create our own alternate revenue stream. If it happens, mazel tov, afarin, who knows, whatever. Congratulations. But it's not something that we're doing solely for that purpose. We're doing it for ourselves. So
that's right.
Like my life motto is I shoot for me. The same applies to the show. We do this for us. And if you want to come along on the journey with us, sweet. That'd be awesome. Yeah. We have great guests.
Yeah, perfect. And actually, with that in mind, if Brian, can we put the link to like even our email address or something down below? If anybody has a guest or if anybody wants to be on as a guest, please reach out to us because we all sort of have people that we know that are creatives, and that's what we interview is the creative people and creatives of all sorts. Last week we spoke to a stunt actress, which was pretty cool. It was a really cool conversation. And we've had wood carvers and we've had musicians on, obviously podcasters. We've had journalists on, photojournalists. So there's been a lot of different people.
Lots of photographers.
Maybe one or
just a couple
two.
Photographers there.
There might have been.
Photographers. I just want to make sure that photographers got tossed out there.
There were some photographers.
I'm not even sure I know any photographers. Brian, Aurora?
I don't know. Maybe one.
Not sure.
I know you, Mark. I know Aurora.
Yeah, I'm just a guy with an iPhone.
Okay, well, on that point, let's go around the table here and let's see what kind of guests or what would we like the show to do that we haven't done already. Ryan, why don't you start?
Personally, like I'm happy with the direction the show's gone in. I think, like, obviously I'm joking. I love having every guest we've had on, photographers, stunt actresses. I wish I was there for that one. That one sounds extremely
Tally.
entertaining.
Oh, Tally was.
Oh, they've
so
all
good.
been good.
Yeah,
We've
so
all missed
cool.
good shows.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, with the way we've been able to find such a different, wide spectrum of guests has been very entertaining. I'm curious to see what goes on next. So, to answer your question, I really don't know, because it's been such a crazy and weird array of guests we've already had. I don't know what to expect next.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mark, what do you think?
Next question.
You have no future expectations, no things that.
No, I was actually going to say I'm kind of joking here, and I know Brian and I have the same type of guest in mind. I've reached out to a couple I found on TikTok, but I would love to get a smithy on here, a forge of some sort, somebody that forges knives or swords or both axes. I'd love to talk to somebody like that. I'd really like to sort of just listen to their creative process and what do they think. Like, I've seen some that do some really, really cool stuff with Damascus steel, and then the etching afterwards, after the many layers are folded into that steel. I would love to have a chat with one of those people. I've reached out to a couple, but the challenge is especially with the bigger accounts, when you start reaching out to somebody that's got 50,000, 75,000 followers on TikTok or YouTube, they're inundated with messages. And I know that we're just one grassroots podcast throwing a message at them and saying, hey, would you love to be on our show? And they're not always going to see our message, or they might not take us seriously, or maybe they're too busy for us. I don't know. But I do enjoy their content when I see it.
Yeah, I actually had a gentleman who lived in Alaska that was going to be on a guest a while ago. Unfortunately, being in Alaska, his internet was extremely spotty, and he decided at the last minute it probably wouldn't work. So that's just one show. It's still on my bucket list for sure. Yeah. Aurora, what about you?
I really want to meet people. Like,
I gotta get out more, man.
People that I admire. That's who I'm going for right now. Just like asking, I really hope she comes on the show. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to promise anything, but like creators and authors, musicians that I actually like. Not actually. Like, a lot of the people I've invited on have been friends, people I've met in person. But I have this dream to hopefully get to the point where we can ask,
like Beyonce, and just have Beyonce on the show.
that would be maybe too much. But
does anybody have Beyonce's digits? We can get a hold of her.
I think
tried
it would
looking
be
for Michael
so
Jordan.
cool. Like,
it didn't work.
Like people
don't
that
even tease me.
We've been following for a long time or listening to for a long time. I think that's a really cool thing. I also like my interest in anime and that kind of thing. I'd love to have a cosplayer on. I know we were talking about it for a bit, and that communication kind of slid underway. So I want to try to maybe reach out again, and maybe reach out to a few different people to see who'll take the bait for that, because I think cosplay is a very multifaceted type of creative area.
Absolutely.
And I'm interested in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many that are slipping my mind, but people that I've been admiring or following for a long time are like high on my list. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe we get RuPaul. Can we get RuPaul on the show?
RuPaul?
I would love to have a drag queen on the show. RuPaul might be a little ambitious.
But I've been reaching out to a few here in Thunder Bay. I haven't heard back yet either. But
if there's one thing I've learned doing this show, not to cut you off, Mark, if there's one thing I've learned doing this show, is it never hurts to ask.
That's right.
One thing that really shocked me, and it's funny, Aurora, you said, just the grassroots podcast, or maybe it was Mark that said that.
That was me that said that.
Mark, that we're just a grassroots podcast. But I reached out to somebody. I made a list of people that I want to ask, and the person at the top of the list said yes. That was Tally.
Yeah.
And not only did she say yes, but she was like super nice about it. She came on a month early because we originally had her booked down the road and we had an opening. So I messaged her and she's like, yes, again. I mean, that showed me right there that if you want somebody that you admire, just ask, because people like to talk about themselves and people like to share their knowledge and how they got to where they are. And again, that's what we do, right? We talk to people and find out how they were able to turn their creative passions into their daily lifestyle. And that's a big deal to me. That's a really big deal, that what somebody could survive in this world that we live in, financially, emotionally, survive doing the thing that they love to do. So when they come home, they feel good about it. They're not stressed out about the crap day that they had because, they hate their job or whatever. We all do things we don't like, but being able to turn our creative passions into our day to day, it's such an important thing. So to talk to people like that is amazing, and it doesn't hurt to ask. Always throw that lifeline out there, and like I it was a Hail Mary. It was like, oh, I'm gonna ask Tally Roden if she'll come on our show.
Yeah,
and she's
perfect.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I messaged you guys as soon as she said yes. I messaged you like a little kid, like, oh my God, she said yes.
Oh, for sure. That was awesome. Well, like I always say, if Microsoft Edge is brave enough to ask to be your default browser, I'm brave enough to ask that guest.
Nice. Running a show is not easy either. We have a lot of people that we reach out to that say no, or people that say yes and they can't show up.
Or don't reply as well.
Or don't reply. So... it's not easy to get the people that we want on there, but it never hurts to ask. And I'm sure we have a lot of people who qualify for what we do who will say yes to us. So we have a lot of things to talk about down the road, lots more people to bring on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I wonder if I could get Stephen King on the show. I've read almost everything he's written. I'd love to have Stephen King on the show. I wonder if he'd say yes.
Does that work? Just, reading what he's written, does that qualify you to...
Well, it means I'm a fan, but who knows? Maybe I'll reach out.
That'd be very cool.
I did legitimately spend a good half an hour, 45 minutes trying to find out who represents Michael Jordan so we can ask him to come on.
Oh, yeah, probably have to find who his manager is. Yeah.
If you want to talk to an athlete, a sports athlete.
Yeah.
This is
a sports athlete
who is creative. I mean, have you guys watched MJ's footage from back in the day?
Oh yeah,
no.
So good.
Now I'm not gonna lie to you though, Brian. I think a show that's had one episode with 2,000 views needs to do more than half hour, 45 minutes of work to get a guy like Jordan.
Yeah, probably right. So I will hand the torch to you. Here's the Michael Jordan torch. I will hand it to.
Don't want it. Don't.
All right, fine.
I'm so bad with names. The fellow that lives in Japan that plays the
Norm.
So Norm. He was interesting to talk to because he's the epitome of don't give up, because the brothers that he wanted to learn his instrument from, he tried and finally he wore them down. So maybe Brian, keep trying with Jordan and I'll start trying it with King. We'll keep wearing them down.
We'll keep going at it.
I'll be 90. Welcome to Expressions, the podcast. Here's Stephen King.
And he'll be dead. It'll be like Weekend at Bernie's. He'll be sitting in the corner. Classic Stephen King moment. Okay, so why don't we get back to some questions here? What do you guys think we did not talk enough about on our show so far? What kind of topics do you think we should cover more? Not just guests, but okay, so Ryan, you joked about too much photography. So I'm going to assume that if we were going to ask the same question in reverse, what did we talk too much about? Maybe it was photography. But what did we not talk enough about? What do you guys think?
I think given the crowd, the people that I'm staring at here on my screen, there's two of you that are big into wrestling. And I think we had Sean Gibson on and we had Brennan Cofield on. And I think that was it for wrestling people, right?
So far.
So do we have more coming up that are wrestling?
We do. We absolutely do. In fact, we have two coming up. Ryan,
you're right here above me. Did you get Chris Jericho? Because I asked you to try and get Chris Jericho for me.
I've been trying desperately. Okay. He said no 3 times to my show. Maybe he'll say yes to this one. So Chris, if you're watching, man,
Chris, I mean, I listen to him all the time. I hear Fozzy all the time on Octane. And if not, maybe we can get him and Sebastian Bach on at the same time, and they can have a little out right on the show.
Ooh.
Because they apparently they argue back and forth on Twitter all the time. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not that hip.
They're
I'm not that hip. I don't
fight
have
him as
Twitter.
a better singer.
Yeah.
We'll have to get our management team to call their management teams to see if we can set something up.
But they're different. They're different singers.
That,
they're different singers. Sebastian Bach and Chris Jericho are different singers. Neither one is better than the other.
On that note, if we had Chris Jericho on this show, my wife would probably die.
Well, we don't want Shelly to die. She's cute.
Yeah, so stay away, Chris.
Stay away, Chris.
Take it
Don't
back.
call
Stay
our
away.
show. I like my wife.
Maybe one night when Brian's not here, we're gonna have Chris on.
Okay. No, because then I would
take
die.
that corner up and we'll go.
No, I mean, there's so many people we can get. We do have 2 wrestlers coming on. One of them was supposed to be actually on this show, but he can't do Mondays, so we're gonna have to find a Sunday to get him on. And the other one is Von Vertigo, who I'm super stoked is going to be on. He started Backyard Pro Wrestling, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting conversation because he's also a video editor. He went to school for video production. So it's like so many different levels to talk to with somebody like Vertigo. And I'm sure, Ryan, you probably have a list as long as your arm of wrestlers that you can get if you just drop that hammer.
Yeah, anytime you guys want a wrestler, just let me know. I can
make it happen.
Set that one up,
Yeah.
What about you,
Unless
Laura?
it's Chris Jericho. We've established that. Don't put that on.
So far, not winning on the Chris Jericho front.
Less so for me in the way of guests, more so in the way of interaction with the people who listen to us regularly. Because we have these call outs at the end of every episode where we challenge viewers. We've asked for people to like maybe suggest a guest and that kind of thing. I really, really love to see more interaction in the comments or maybe on social media, whichever social media platform you prefer, like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. Even maybe we can set up an email or use our current email that we're using for business stuff as a way for people to reach out to us. But for me, I think that's the biggest thing. Like the people who are listening to us regularly, I'd love to have more interaction with, and maybe
you hear that, listener? She's calling you out.
Yeah. And it's not me saying, oh, there's no problem with you being just a silent, happy listener. I'm that way on most things, but I feel really connected to the people I follow and the people I listen to when I can actually interact with them in a comment or something like that. And this kind of goes back to the whole Ken thing, which is why I actually prefer, interacting with comments or keeping the comments up and not deleting them, because I feel like, provided it's not like, really terrible, horrible.
If it's bullying, if it's racism.
Yeah, anything that's very discriminatory.
We care too much about that.
Yeah, but any sort of interaction, I love having that interaction, hearing from people in any way. And maybe that could end up being a segment later where we interact with, the challenge. Maybe people are actually trying these challenges, but we don't know. So that's something we talked about when we first started the podcast, is a Patreon channel, a place where people can like create a community. I don't know if Patreon is the place for us, but I think some sort of community where people can interact more organically would be a great idea. If anybody has any thoughts on that, or if you want to chat to us or whatever, let us know. expressionsthepodcast@gmail.com.
I do draw the line at an OnlyFans account. I will not do that.
Yeah. I don't draw that same line.
Well, OnlyFans has changed, so.
Oh, how's that? Okay.
No, they lifted that ban. They lifted it.
Oh, did they?
Did
okay,
they?
Yeah.
I don't know how
I petitioned hard, man.
It was all you.
It was all Ryan. Ryan wanted OnlyFans.
Watch your wordage. You petitioned hard. That's a little awkward.
Can we change places? I don't want to be with.
On the next note, what has changed the most for you since we started doing this podcast? Aurora, let's start with you this time.
Ooh, what has changed the most? Like personally, or
like your outlook, your lifestyle, the way you see things, the confidence? Like, is there anything that's changed because of doing the podcast?
I'm really loving Monday nights. I mean, speaking of like what happened today and this week, it's been a very stressful week. And I'm quite tired because I was just moving my mom all day from like 10 a.m. And I got here like 5 minutes before the podcast started.
Hang on a second. You say moving your mom. Is she in a chair? Are you just pushing her around? Like, what
my headphones fell off.
Clarify that. I just fixed my headphones. Why did I fix my headphones when I saw yours?
I don't know.
I don't know. It was weird. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, you know, I basically, my mom's moving. She was living in a house that she's leasing here in Newmarket. But my sister's going off to university next year. My youngest sister, she's 10 years younger than me. Just to clarify.
So she's 15. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, close. Not quite. But yeah, so she's going to Western University. She's crazy smart. My little sister Hannah. And
already done the schedule for September 13th.
Hang on a sec.
I'm hearing something in the
Mark,
background.
Yeah.
Am I not muted?
No, I will mute you. Go ahead. I've muted Mark.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister's very smart. She's going to Western University for political sciences.
Oh, wow.
Studying psychology. But she's going to be living on residence at the school. And my mom will just be living in this house by herself. So she's downsized to a smaller apartment where my sister can stay when she comes back from university or when she comes on weekends. But it's a much smaller house, a lot less space. She doesn't really have to take care of a lawn and stuff like that. So it works out well for her. But moving, as always, is a huge challenge. Tons of boxes and stuff like that. But even though I'm tired and worn out from the day, I feel exhilarated every time I come on the podcast. Even though most of the time Mondays are a day off for me. Sometimes I'm doing errands and stuff. Every Monday night at 8, when I'm on the podcast, I feel very, I don't know, pumped up with energy, re-inspired to think of new guests, think of new questions I could ask, different creative outlooks that I could even look in myself, maybe taking up some of the challenges that the guests are giving to our viewers. I've been kind of dabbling in that as well. And yeah, it's just generally a pretty positive outlook and reinvigoration on a Monday night. So it's a great way to start the week for sure.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Mark, I unmuted you and you muted yourself back again. There you go.
I did the same thing. I was trying to unmute him. I'm like, it keeps saying he muted himself.
And then we couldn't do anything about it.
There we go. Now we're all stuck. So okay, wouldn't be the first time I did something wrong today. So
oh, what about you, Mark? Sorry, go ahead, Aurora.
I just thought of someone that I would love to have on. Not someone specifically, but something I'd like to have on. I'm super into Dungeons and Dragons, and I'd love to have some sort of really cool dungeon master on. There's a lot of Dungeons & Dragons podcasts, content creators, things like that. So I'm going to probably delve into that and see if we can bring a guest on for that. I know that's going back to a previous question, but yeah, I think that would be, it's a very,
twist.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's creative thinking.
Totally.
Creative writing, especially as a DM, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially as a good DM.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk to my nephew. Anyway, we'll get to
there
that.
You go.
Mark, do you feel you've changed, or is there anything that's come out of this for you?
Well, when you asked me to be on the show, it was something that was, well, first off, flattering. I was actually just thrilled that you asked me to be one of the hosts. But at the time, during COVID, I mean, obviously it hit everybody differently. Some people worked right through it, and I worked through it in varying capacities. I was always working. I didn't stop working, but sometimes I was working from home. My family and I, my wife and our dogs and us, we moved to Thunder Bay right at the beginning of the pandemic. Like, our house closed, I think it was February the 21st. We moved in. It was after, I think we took possession on the 21st. We moved from Southern Ontario on the 28th of February. All of our stuff arrived on March the 6th. We got here, they declared a global pandemic and everything shut down. So for us, it was, stay home. And so you sort of get used to it. And I'm fine. I like to go out and about, but I don't necessarily need to interact with the people I see, and I'm good that way. But you get very tired and dragged out. And I try to stay positive about everything. I always try to look at the bright side of things and think, okay, well, you look at it as an opportunity instead of a negative. And I was finding that it was harder and harder for me to do that every day. So then when we started the podcast, the Monday nights really started giving me that glimmer of hope, like that interaction that I think I was missing, because it was just even to be able to go into to stop into Henry's and see you, or pop by and see a friend or have coffee with somebody. It was something that I found I was missing. So this has sort of replaced all of that for me, that Monday night, and I can say, okay, and even though I'm talking to people every day, they're work colleagues. I don't necessarily always talk about things that I enjoy or have conversations like this. Mm-hmm. So for me, I found this was the catalyst I needed to really bump me back into being more positive and to have that better outlook again on things. And of course, it didn't hurt that as we started the podcast, winter ended and spring came, and of course now we're still in summer. So that's been really good for me as well. But I think that's been the big change for me, is my outlook on things have been a lot sunnier, if you will, than they were in the beginning.
I like that. Yeah, and then that's why we're doing it, right? That's why we're doing it. Ryan?
Well, I can't beat their answers. Why did I have to go last?
Well, you're not. I still have to go. So,
but no, like I could definitely agree with what they both said. And as well, like I mentioned earlier, I really enjoy the array of guests that we get to have on. So, just getting to hear the different stories, getting to see the different emotions from who we have, from everything from the funniest of the funny to stories that just really make you think and really make you appreciate what we have. So, for me, the show's really just done a lot in terms of, again, like Mark said, giving me something to look forward to on Mondays and just giving me a new perspective on a lot of different things in life.
You just blew a light.
I know it every week. That's why I haven't changed it yet, because I'm thinking it keeps turning back on.
My mother-in-law down in the basement, her light will cycle. It just shuts off and then all of a sudden comes back on. It's like same as you've got going on there.
Yeah. If you look back at past episodes, you might have seen it happen before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very good.
Until one night they both go out, and then
and then it's just Ryan.
I've got 4 up here, which is nice. So like I'm just hoping.
Well, when we get the millions of dollars from monetizing our show, we can fix
the greatest beer, my favorite beer.
Nice.
Just don't look at past episodes, Lancher. There.
Yeah. For me, it's all been it's been huge. It's been huge for me. From leaving it on when I'm at work and being able to show a customer, this is the quality of a webcam, this is the quality of a camera, this is the microphone that this is right here. And from a Henry's perspective, it's been really cool for me for that. For a personal perspective, like you guys have all said, the Monday nights are just something to look forward to. There's always a different person to talk to. There's always something interesting to learn. A lot of the people we have on are people that I know and I haven't talked to in a while, which is great. People that I met years ago that have gone through so many changes until now that I'm catching up with. So that's been really cool for me. And getting to know you guys more. Like Aurora, I know you were my manager in my store. You're not anymore. But getting to hang out once a week, that's still pretty cool. I appreciate that. I really like that. Ryan, man, I've known you through the podcasting, but I've learned a lot more about you since we started doing this together, and I love it. And I'm so happy that I asked you to do this and that you agreed. Mark, I've known you forever, man. And
it's a couple of days or so.
Yeah, and it's just it reinforces again why I wanted to bring you into the fold and have you on this, because you're good people. and I need to surround myself with good people. And that's what this is for me. So I appreciate all that you guys have brought to me. I appreciate all the things we've done for the show. As far as things that I want to do in the future, I definitely want to do some, minority conversation. Talk about some people that have had some hard times and try and figure out what we can do as a people to be better, to make it less for their children. From Aboriginal people to Black people to gay people to whatever you want to call people, people who feel that they are oppressed or beat down their whole life, that are finally in this new climate of acceptance, getting a voice and being able to be heard. Those are the people that I want to have on the show more. I don't think that, I'm 50 years old, right? So I was born in 1971. The 70s, 80s, and 90s were a period of intolerance, big intolerance, maybe not as bad as before then, but even me growing up as a Jewish person and seeing KKK rallies in front of my synagogue when I was there one time, I mean, we've all experienced some pretty bad stuff, and we are in a time now of more acceptance and more tolerance and more conversation, and that's what Expressions, the podcast, should be doing, is talking to people and finding out how they are handling it, how they're turning it into a positive, how they're, dealing with that and just becoming better for it, embracing all the things that have troubled them and coming out stronger. Those are the stories I think we should be telling more in the future, and hopefully we will have guests that will represent that, as well as fun things. And again, another guest we were going to have tonight were the guys from the Planet Pointless podcast, and I was super stoked to talk to these guys. Fern, Sean and John, I guess their names are. Fern is a guy that I know, Sean, from skateboarding days, and I was really looking forward to just a silly, fun, kind of crazy conversation and having these guys go off the cuff. So you just don't know what the show is going to be, but it's always going to be encouraging. It's always going to be focused on our guest and about how they have made their world better through their creative passions and how that may help influence and inspire other people. That's a pretty powerful thing.
Now, I think point out the irony of you also saying, though, we don't want to make this show about ourselves on an episode about ourselves.
Well, this is right. And to be honest, the only reason this is about ourselves is because the guys couldn't make it tonight. Yeah. But that's okay because, it's episode 25. So it's a big deal for us. And I think it's more fitting that we revisit ourselves and talk about ourselves at least once every 25 episodes. I think that's fair.
I think we can do that.
There it is.
The light came back.
Let there be light. All right, so
there's a guy in Switzerland flicking a switch.
So I just had an idea.
I just had an idea. Okay, do you guys have a highlight moment so far? A guest that you've talked to that has been like you walk away from just feeling burst? Yeah, I think you all know who that is for me. There's two for me, but at least two for me. There's quite a few, but do you guys have like one of those guests that that's just left a note, a resonance in your brain?
Brian, why don't you go first?
I'll go first. Sure.
Yeah.
Good idea, Aurora. Good idea.
One of them that I am most proud of is Cassie, having Cassie on the show, because she is a friend of mine. I've known her since she was born, and to see how she's done so well for herself. She's got a great husband. She's got 2 great kids. She owns a fitness studio. She's a police officer. Inspiring to the nines, super nice. And great family. So Cassie is probably the one that I hold most personally. But as far as those moments where I'm just like popping afterward, like a wrestling pop, it feels just like, oh my God, like CM Punk just came out and I'm going mad. That would be Tally and Norm. I have nothing but respect for Norm, and having him on the show was really, really special for me. Such a nice guy, so different than what I normally get into with playing the shimasei. I always say it wrong, I know. But playing his instrument and being such a nice guy and being so open and so welcoming, but living in Japan and exposing me to the world of Japan, which I'd never really known much about. So that was fascinating for me. And Tally, from the minute I saw her up on stage talking about the women in film and how she has endured and overcome all these obstacles and how she seems so nice about it. And she's badass. She's a stunt woman. She kicks people in the head. She does spins, and now I have
through things.
Yes, she flies through things on wires, and it's just so cool. And I watched her movie, by the way, Bad Times at the El Royale. I shouldn't say it's her movie. She's in it for about a minute, but the scene is pretty cool, and the movie is awesome. So I give that a 2 thumbs up.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that was it for me. Who would like to go next?
I think for me it was. Sorry, Mark. No,
go ahead. Yeah.
No. You go ahead.
This is what Brian was talking about. No, you first.
This is what I always try and say. What do you think?
All right, awesome. I'll go. We've had so many great guests on. We've had a couple of photographers on. Just awesome to talk to other photographers as well. But I missed Ron Clifford's episode. I would have liked to have been a part of that conversation. I did watch that episode again, but I have to say that the shining star was the Podcats episode. Eddie the Bowtie Cat was my favorite. I know Dave's carvings were amazing, but the highlight of it was when he had Eddie on the show, and then even last week with Tally when she had her dogs on the show. Sorry, Ryan, you missed that, but she had her dogs on the show.
She introduced them all individually.
I love it when the animals make a surprise appearance on the show, so that's always fun. But I can't really pick one guest. There were some that I sort of had more fun with, and one of them that stands out for me was Dan Preston, just because I know him from way back, and we lived in the same town and went to the same school. To sort of catch up, that did a lot for my mental health as well. So to catch up with Dan was pretty cool, and not to mention he's like the front of house sound guy for I think it's Big Rex. So that's pretty cool. Like,
he worked Madison Square Garden. I mean, that photo that we were able to share with him at Madison Square Garden, that right there is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And Dan did say during his episode that he would like to come back on and actually do a live with us one night while he's actually working a gig. So that would be pretty cool if we could, like, maybe not during the show because that'd be pretty loud, but maybe after sound check, give us a quick rundown of his board and what the stage looks like, and hey, maybe walk us backstage and we'll meet the guys in Big Rec. Who knows, Dan? If you're watching,
keep a day open for us.
That's right.
Ryan, what were you gonna say?
I think for me, one of my favorites was definitely Brian Bowden. I think he brought a really fun energy to our show, a really fun energy to that episode, and just being able to talk about different issues and problems that he's had so openly meant a lot, I think, especially with what we're trying to do on this show. He didn't hold back anything. He was as honest as he could have been, and he made the show, again, very enjoyable while still being very real. So, and then, of course, Brian Dunn. I've known Brian for so long, but we've never actually interacted. So it was interesting for me to actually have a conversation with him for the very first time in a podcast of everything. But I've really enjoyed, honestly, almost every guest we've had on. I think the only people I haven't enjoyed are the three around me right now. I'm kidding, obviously.
I keep telling you guys, I'm a jerk. I don't know why you have me. And Ryan finally said it. One of you finally said it out loud.
We've been too nice. All right, we've been too nice. This
I know. We gotta find an edge to our show. We gotta kill a puppy or something. I don't know.
Oh,
whoa, okay, Brian, too much of an edge. Too much of an edge.
You just leave. I don't care who dies in a movie. Leave the dog alone.
Like, how did you kill a puppy worse than I did in that?
I am not killing a puppy.
You're lucky my wife can't hear what you just said, because she's like right there, and you said kill a puppy.
I'm joking. No puppies were killed during the making of this episode.
That's it. We're going to be off YouTube.
There it is.
This is called the thumping fist.
See, we just created an edge. There we go.
The thumpy fist is coming in.
Oh my goodness.
I'm glad you're not tall enough that you can punch me from Thunder Bay. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, she'll figure out a way. She knows where you live, Brian.
Aurora, what about you?
Oh man, there's so many good ones. It's hard for me to narrow down all the ones that you guys have mentioned. I gotta say, man, I've really loved talking to some of my closest friends and relatives, like bringing on Christina, and talking about her career as a chef. And hearing that Mark was so inspired about her episode and cooking all these different meals and stuff. That was really amazing. I loved bringing Elisa on. Again, another one of my best friends. Actually probably my longest friend, and that conversation, and that was kind of like a highlight for me too, because she was one of the people who inspired me to start this conversation with Brian about starting the podcast. So that was a huge highlight for me. The one that hit close to home the most, like I got actually very emotional during, was the Ron Clifford episode, when he talked about his struggle with mental health and his journey through figuring out, being bipolar and all of that. It hit really close to home. I got pretty emotional. I tried not to cry, but my tears were welling up a bit. It's kind of weird to say that was a highlight because it made me emotional, but it really did. It really hit close to home. Same thing with the Ralston Harris episode. That was a really big emotional episode as well. Oh man, it's so hard to narrow down. The one that I'm most disappointed that I missed was the Leah Denbach episode. I mean, there were so many great episodes that I missed. Well, not so many. I think I missed 3 total. But the one that's airing now tonight, Leah, I think would have been a really cool conversation, because her whole, her whole philosophy behind taking pictures, and humanizing the homeless is her whole concept, right? And all the books that she's made and telling people stories, I think is very inspiring.
Especially at the age that she started it. She was 14, I believe, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, it's wild. There are so many good episodes.
I'm very proud
it's
of
hard to it's hard to narrow down at all.
and actually with Leah Denbach, interestingly enough, I was in Ottawa last week for work, and some of what she said to us on that show resonated with me, obviously. And I was able to talk to some of my colleagues about what she talked to us about trying to humanize the homeless and not looking at them as a, I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but look at them for what they are. They're people who are experiencing homelessness. They're not bad people. We don't know them. We don't know their story. We don't know why they're homeless.
Even that term, experiencing homelessness. I didn't even know that term before. I just thought homeless people.
Yeah, right? And everybody's always said that. Oh, we saw a homeless guy. No, he's a person who's experiencing homelessness. And her episode resonated with me. And there was at one point, I asked a question, and please watch the episode. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I asked a question, and when she responded, I went, oh, right. So that's definitely an episode worth watching for everyone, because it really gives you a different outlook on your own situation and on the situation of others. But if you don't know people, don't judge them. And that's I'm just going to leave it at that.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And since we've been on for about an hour, let's bring it to the final questions that we have. Unless you guys have anything else that you'd like to add about our past 24 episodes or where we're going. No?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Awesome.
Wait, who are you again?
I know, right?
Where's this boy here?
Who am I?
Who am I? That's
wait.
He only had 2 beers, man.
Am I talking to me? Wait, you weren't counting?
Okay, so we usually ask at the end of every episode 3 questions. One would be, what challenge would you like to issue people? One would be, what's your jam? Music, big deal for us at least. And then the last would be tool of the trade. We answered these questions individually when we did our first episode 0. I don't know if you guys, do you want to do another one? Do you have enough life changes?
I have a challenge.
Okay.
For the viewers. Right. I challenge the viewers to interact and talk to us a little bit about how you're enjoying the episode, all the guests that we have on, suggest guests. I would love to get guest suggestions. I think that's an awesome way to interact. And then hopefully we can get some of these guests that you'd be interested in hearing from, like in a full kind of sit down interview style. I think that would be amazing. So
on that point too, when you suggest a guest, tell us why you're suggesting that guest.
Yeah.
Because that might give us an idea of how to ask more poignant questions. Like if somebody had suggested, ask Ken Domick because he did a story about the tornado that came through and claimed he was living next door, but he wasn't living next door. That way we can see that and say, well, Ken, why did you do this? And people wouldn't flip out. You know what I mean? It's answering questions instead of just being silly. So I love that.
Yeah. Suggesting a guest or suggesting questions we could ask viewers, even if it isn't suggesting a question for a specific guest, even suggesting new questions we could ask new people coming in.
Try to improve.
Absolutely. Let us know if they've been on like The Price is Right or something.
I would love to hear if people are actually trying the challenges too. I think that'd be cool.
Cool. I love it.
And if you're not, I challenge you to do the challenges.
There you go.
There's Ryan's challenge. Do the challenges. Mark, have you got something?
I don't have a challenge. I don't really have a challenge. I love Aurora's. I think we should. Well, I'm going to leave it at Aurora's. I know you guys. If you have a challenge, you go right ahead.
I was going to add: be patient and listen. Stop freaking out on everything. Before you freak out, try and digest what was actually said.
Yeah.
And try and not create an entire YouTube channel. Whoa. Hello. It's like
apparently something exciting happened down the other end of the house and the dog left.
Santa's down the street. The reindeer just got up and ran at him.
She just got up and ran, and she's something exciting. I'll bet there's chicken. There's chicken in the future.
Chicken's
for her,
involved.
So she ran.
Yeah, but that would be my thing: is be patient and listen more. Don't just flip out on stuff. That really bothered me with the whole Ken Domick thing, and for people to actually create a YouTube channel just to slam a guy.
Yeah,
that is just childish. Grow up.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Philly Boots. I think
it's just all a part of the culture of YouTube and
the internet in general.
Yeah. As long as you're not bullying. Or being discriminatory.
I don't know if anybody knows this about us, but our channel was really thought out before we launched. From the colors in our logo to every little thing that we did. The pink in our logo is literally the pink from the anti-bullying campaign. It's something that we're really very strong, feel it very strongly about. I'm sure everybody has dealt with bullying. I'm not saying that we've been bullied, but everybody's dealt with bullying.
I was a fat little kid. Yeah, I was bullied. Hell yeah, I was bullied.
I wasn't going to speak for you guys. I mean, I was popped in the eye for just looking at a guy in a school bus. I mean, you never know what can happen to people these days, but we won't tolerate it. And if you start doing that stuff on our channel, you won't be able to see our channel. I mean, that's pretty much all there is to that. But yeah, do the challenges is Ryan's challenge. Aurora, I love yours as well. Give us some feedback. Have some interaction. Talk to us. Let us know if you like what we're doing. And if you do, why? Or if you don't, why? It's great to have that expression and let us know. And mine is be patient, listen, just don't react, think and act properly. Now, what about music? I still want to do reaction videos with you guys. I don't know. It's something we've talked about. I get different vibes from different hosts here. Some people are like, let's do it. And then Ryan's just like,
No, I'll be openly. I am not a reaction guy. I don't know why. I've never really never been into it myself. So
I would love to do an episode of us trying something that one of the experts that we talk to come on and talk about. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
So
we should
we
could ever make that happen.
I sent the video the other day in our chat. I saw the video on how to make the Mick gangbang that Ken talked about. And I thought it was one McDouble. I didn't know it was two McDoubles.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm not saying the whole thing, but
wow.
Yeah, I get it now. But I thought it was two burger patties and a chicken patty. That's where the three came in. But it's actually a McDouble, two McDoubles, and a junior chicken. So
or trying something that the guest had talked about, like maybe doing an episode where we try a couple of the things that our guests have talked about. I think that'd be interesting. Maybe.
Okay, so we will do the McGangbang, and then after that, we'll do Tally's challenge, which is 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 jumping jacks, and that'll work off all the McGangbang food.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sure. I think I'm away that week.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan just left.
We've officially offended Ryan.
Peace.
That was the straw right there. That was the straw.
Yeah, we said the McGangbang wasn't the issue. It was the 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and 100
Oh yeah,
Well,
they had me in the first half.
Yeah.
That being said, she did say you could lower it to 10 of each.
Yeah.
Which was really nice.
Yeah. Which is funny. I joked with Tally that I couldn't be able to do it. I couldn't do 100 push-ups, but I could do the sit-ups and the jumping jacks, not a problem at all. But my gimpy shoulder would stop me at about 10 or 15 push-ups. So,
well, I'm very proud to say that both Cassie and Tally's challenges I have definitely thought about.
Perfect. Very well, and you're halfway there, right? You've thought about it.
I've thought about it strongly. Anyway, that's it for us tonight, guys. I can't thank Aurora, Mark, and Ryan enough for what you've added to my world in the past 25
episodes. Coincidentally, each of our ages is 25. We're all 25.
That's right. We are all 25 years old, at least. I'm 25 squared, I think. But
no, that's not squared. No,
that's cubed. What is it? I don't know what it is. I'm old. Doubled.
Level 50. I'm not quite there yet.
Before we say goodbye this week, do you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm good. Just thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're still with us, we definitely appreciate it. As we said throughout the episode and through all the episodes, we do this for us. And the fact that you can come on this journey with us and meet the people that we meet, and even, maybe some of you have the same. You will have a guest on and you don't agree with that guest, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And but thank you for coming on this journey with us and being part of it.
I think a big thank you to Brian too for being the only member who's hit all 25 episodes. Have you missed an episode yet, Brian?
I have. I had to miss one.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You missed one, yeah.
I had to, and I might actually have to miss the Von Vertigo one. I'm gonna hopefully do it from my car. I'll be coming back from my 25th anniversary week up north for that one, and I don't know if I'll be home in time, but I'm definitely gonna try.
Hopefully. Well, pop in if you get within range and you come in, then.
Oh, there's no range. I have a cell phone with a really good data plan, so I'm definitely Shelly will be driving that day, and I'll.
But I know you're in Northern Ontario, and sometimes you go through areas. Let's call the cellular service sketchy.
Yes, good point.
I would like to say again to everybody who's listening, thanks for listening or watching or whatever. But I also hope if you like it and you're listening and you're watching, like the video, comment, or even just share with people who you might think like it as well. Talk to your friends who may be interested in the podcast and find a way to share it to other people, because we'd love to build, I think in a way with this, it's kind of like building a network of people that we can pull guests from and get suggestions from, so we could have even more of a diverse group of guests and people. And I'd love for you guys to share with other people. So
there you go. She's calling you out again, guys.
I'm calling you guys out again. Not
just called out the internet.
Very friendly.
Just called out the internet. We're doomed.
Oh my god! Change my name again.
That's why he lives in Thunder Bay after all. Nobody ever looks for
North Bay. I live in North Bay.
Yeah, North is not Thunder. It's North. And for everybody who's wondered why sometimes we have hosts on and sometimes hosts aren't on, there's nothing wrong with that. That's why we have 4 hosts.
That's right.
We have 4 hosts so that we can do shows with 1 host or 2 hosts or 3 hosts or whatever, in case somebody else has something to do.
Or the guests can host themselves if none of us are available.
You know what? We'll send them a link and let them just do it by themselves next time. That's fine. But no, there's nothing wrong with that. And my main goal, that one goal that I could honestly say that I have from doing this podcast, is merely to get 100 subscribers. That's all I want. We can have more. That's cool. But if we get 100, That would be my goal. And the reason for that is because once you hit 100 subscribers, you can change your YouTube name to Expressions the Podcast. It doesn't have to be youtube.com/01. It can actually be a name.
Perfect.
It's a very small goal, and it's not greedy. It's literally just
It's a pretty humble goal. Pretty humble goal.
I like
I
it.
think so.
I like it. So if you like what you're hearing or seeing, hit the subscribe. Give us a little bit of love.
That's right.
Right.
I think that's the first time we've ever asked that.
It's in the notes every week. It's in the notes in the middle part before we introduce next people. There's a whole thing about it, and I just breeze.
But we're
past
nice
it.
people. It's refreshing to be on
I
YouTube,
know.
not here.
Yeah.
But like and subscribe and
We're not
smash that like
shilling the
button,
show.
guys.
Yeah.
Oh, smash! You sound like a familiar person to me.
That's right. Next week I'll be coming to you from James Bay, so we're good.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm having a lot of fun with you guys. Thanks for doing this with me. This is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's say goodbye. Take care, everybody. We'll see you all next week. And until then, stay safe and keep shooting.
And I'll do that, and then Ryan, you and then I'll stop talking, and then you say tonight on Expressions Podcast we have Brian, and then Brian will go Aurora, and then Aurora will go Mark, jerk, he's here, and then we'll sort of, and then it'll be a little bit of extended, and people will be going, what do you think? I might just be.
And then after, what do? We just say, just kidding.
Well, no, because we are the guests. We are the guests.
Just get psyched.
Yeah.